Second session, there we go. Self-sabotage, going to McDonald's late at night, not doing the things that you need to be doing. If you truly did everything right, you would be faced with truly not being good enough despite your best efforts. People are afraid to find out how good they really are, but with the fear behind that, when they would truly give their best, they would be confronted with finding out that they really are not good enough. When they continue to mess up, they can at least still live the dream of potentially being good enough without putting ever themselves in the position of really testing themselves and finding it out. So some people sabotage and are late to break up an argument to express themselves and how they really feel because they lack this type of self-expression. People may sabotage to feel bad about themselves because this may give them sympathy since they don't talk or connect with people enough. People may sabotage to feel bad about themselves because that may give them sympathy since they don't talk or connect with other people. Some people straight up sabotage because they behave in a way that pushes others away or get the attention so that they feel isolated. Or they push other people away in order to really test other people's love and connection and deservingness for their attention because they believe, okay, if it's my behavior, it's not really me. If people love me, even if I behave in the way that other people don't want me to behave, and then I still get their love, then that means it is because of me deep inside and not because of my behavior of what I'm actually doing. That's why people oftentimes also tend to sabotage. Self-sabotage. Sometimes people sabotage because they know that gives them an excuse to either blow up or feel sad when they don't achieve, and they need this as an excuse for the entire system to unconsciously manifest behavior that makes the person see this. So self-sabotage can be due to anger release. This is something that I will call an entryway. Oftentimes it's either sadness or it's anger, it can be guilt or it can be shame. So that the behavior leads to us feeling in a certain way that is then actually manifested and related to some deeper emotions that resemble the new emotions that are being evoked. For example, if it's shame or guilt, right? Let's say we do a behavior that manifests shame or guilt in us. For example, overeating. That's an example that I am intimately familiar with, that I had for a long time. If you allow me to, I'm going to briefly explain to you what I mean by that and how I'm viewing this.
We are living, look where we are right now.
What I mean by this and how am I viewing this, right? So this is what I call an entryway. Oftentimes we have emotions deep inside of us that are stored, that are either we don't want to deal with because they are traumatic and we fear the pain that it would evoke, or we are fearing that when we would really look into this, emotion and really feel this, that it would make us confront with actions that we need to take, for example, things that we need to give up, or people that we would need to confront, or making decisions for our lives that we are afraid of what would happen if we were really taking the decision, for example, changing workplace or anything of that kind for that reason. So this is what I call an entryway, so that the behavior that we do is linked in our memory to a certain emotional state that is similar to a deeper state of emotion that we are running away from. They are energetically resonant, so that the logic behind that is that our entire system manifests these behaviors because they are linked up in our nervous system. In the same way as for some people, a certain type of sweet is related deep in their memory to love, because their grandparents or their parents always gave it to them. Dr. Pepper, whatever it's going to be, it's related emotionally to some certain state that you want to have, especially when it was linked very early on in your memory. And then when you seek for that state, the memory of that, and you really want to feel that, the comfort, the connection with your family, for example, you reach for that which is known to induce that state which you have found to be working and to be effective for you in this way. And so here's the interesting thing about it. And so here's what I found is the interesting thing about it. When we have such a deep underlying emotion inside of us that we don't want to see, that we don't want to feel, then we oftentimes manifest things, states, or behaviors that evoke a similar type of emotion for us to actually look at that into the deeper feeling. That's what I call an entryway. Now, self-sabotage can also be as an anger release pattern. And so here's the question. If that is the entryway, if that truly is an entryway, and here is where I need to trust you, that if you feel some kind of emotional resonance to something, that's likely what it is for you. Don't try to justify it. It's like if you say, okay, this is what it is, because frankly, a lot of these things, many of those are true for people. So if one of those things rings true, just do the solutions that I'm suggesting you here. So if we really find out that this is an entryway, and that there is an emotion that is truly there, that wants to be felt deep down, you need to go ahead and find the solution, feeling this emotion and releasing that, right? And then learning also to, on the surface, when those emotions are coming up, to not resist them. If you resist them, the behavior will persist. It's like you cannot argue with life. I know you wish it wasn't there, but it is there. So what are you going to do about it? Right? You can only feel that. So self-sabotage can be due to anger release, relief and release pattern, leading us into sadness or guilt or shame. Usually these are the types of emotions that there are, right? The negative ones that we tend to avoid, that we don't want to feel. What gives us a nervous system break, for us to really wind down. Not wanting to find out whether we are truly good enough if we gave our all, or being afraid of the outcome action. Self-sabotage can also be a means to excuse oneself, to appear that I really am good enough. I only had bad circumstance, like not having enough sleep. It's kind of a smoke screen. That's what it's called in sales. It's like you give that as an excuse so you don't have to deal with the real thing. For example, I have to talk to my wife. Can be a smoke screen for, I really don't know if I can actually do that. You know what I mean? If you're thinking about, you're being sold, I don't really know if I actually need this. You're like, yeah, let me just talk to my wife about it. When you're being sold like some kind of kitchen appliance or whatever, you're like, yeah, I'm going to talk to my wife about it. What you're really thinking is, I am going to sleep about it because I don't really think I need this, and I don't want to spend the money like I did in the past on something that I don't need, and then have to have this conversation with my wife afterwards because I've been sold and persuaded before by a witty salesman just like you. But that's what the person doesn't say. He just says, I'm going to talk to my wife about it, right? And so that's what we call a smoke screen. So in the same way, The self-sabotage can be a smokescreen for not really finding out whether you would actually be good enough if you actually gave your all, tried your all, and did your best. If you actually gave your all, tried your all, and did your best. And so that's what it can be. It can also be a way to show others how hurt you are, so that you may have an excuse for not achieving at the level that you want, or get sympathy from other people, right? Or it can be a way to make yourself special. Yourself feel special. Oftentimes we have that when somebody's need for attention and recognition is not met, which usually is because they are not giving themselves enough attention. They are so much, and that's the paradox of it, right? They are so much outside of themselves in other people, thinking what they are going to think. And what really needs to be healed is the fundamental confusion that this is met, or this is leading to love. It may have been so in the past, but it doesn't need to be continuing like that in the future, right? So that are all ways of self-sabotage. Now here's then the question. Now that we know that this is the self-sabotage that we are going for and that we're trying to change, how do we actually do that? Well, it depends on the situation. It really depends on what the reason for that is that we need to find the solution for. That we really need to find the solution for. So now I've given you an overview of all of the things that I've come up with and have experience with. That may or may not be an exhaustive list. Maybe we'll find some more distinctions later. But for now, this really comprises of the main areas of what it can be. And so isn't that great that in only 7 or 8 things, and as I said, if you tell me down below, it's like I don't see myself in anything. First of all, I want to ask yourself, is that another smokescreen? Are you really being truthful? But if you really truly are, and you don't find yourself, then tell me down below what you think your self-sabotage is. So if you say like, I don't know, come join my community and then we see about that. A way to make yourself feel special, right? Examples, not calling your client, real life circumstances, or you just really, you lack energy, right? Self-deprecation, leading us into an inner healing process of releasing that sadness that we feel. It can be an entryway into deeper emotions. So that's all that this behavior is, that this behavior can be. And so for that, once we know that, we then also know the solution to what we need to be doing. Self-harmful behavior, sabotaging the relationships, yes.